My name is Vladimir and I welcome you to my channel 2 Wars. The fact of the active participation of the USA in financial cooperation with the Germans before the war is beyond doubt. It was a mass process involving such corporations as Ford, General Motors, and Standard Oil. However, can we speak of direct financing here, and how serious was the cooperation between the two powers? In this video, I will explain where Hitler got the money for his army, why the USA helped him, and what role leading global brands played in strengthening the Third Reich. In the meantime, make yourself comfortable, pour some tea, and we will begin. The political arena of that time was relatively small. This explains the attention that the USA paid to the current situation in Europe. The American authorities were most concerned about two things: the events occurring in Germany and the USSR. Long before Hitler's victory in the elections, with the NSDAP, Captain Truman Smith, who was the assistant military attaché of the USA in Berlin, noted his speeches. The diplomat was drawn to the severity, sharpness, and emotionality of the statements. At that time, the future Führer was leading one of the non-competitive parties. However, as early as 1922, Smith personally met Adolf Hitler. Starting from the next year, by 1926, the financing of the NSDAP was conducted through third-party banking organizations. These were branches located in Sweden or Switzerland. However, starting in 1926, the financing of Hitler's party was conducted either directly through banks or through the country's industrial enterprises. 4 years later, in 1930, in the fall, Yammer Schacht arrived in the USA, where he became the head of the Reichsbank. He took on direct negotiations with prominent representatives of American entrepreneurship at that time. In private conversations, Schacht shared not only the scenario of Hitler's rise to power but also other aspects, the concept of state development, tactics for combating Bolshevism as a phenomenon. Of course, the focus of the conversation shifted towards anti-Bolshevik rhetoric, which was a concern for Europe at that time. Schacht kept his true plans to himself. Soon after, the representative of the USA in the capital of Germany reported,
Hitler received significant financial support. It was provided by certain industrialists who were interested in this.
The dispatch was intended for Secretary Simpson, and it can now be found even in the public domain. In mid-May 1933, the unchanging leader of X-Bank visits the USA. Again, here, at Schacht's place, there was a meeting not only with major financiers but also with the then-President Franklin Roosevelt. This meeting had very specific consequences: large investments in Germany's industry, as well as loans from America, the total amount of which exceeded $1 billion. Another month later, closer to the end of June, an international conference took place in London. Here, the leader of the Reichstag met with von Tag, who was then heading the Bank of England. According to Schacht's assurances, which he voiced during the Nuremberg trials, the British authorities also agreed to provide a loan. The final amount was another $1 billion, but in pounds. In dollar terms, for that time, it was an even more impressive sum, namely $2 billion. You might say, Vladimir, this is an investment in German industry. What does it have to do with financing Hitler and his party? The fact is that at the time Hitler came to power, Germany was prohibited from having a powerful army under the Versailles Treaty. Therefore, Hitler circumvented this restriction and quietly began to rearm and expand his army, using civilian industrial complexes as a cover, which required funding. Before the start of World War II, banks and corporations in America invested no less than $800 million not only in the industrial sector but also in the financial system of the state. At that time, this was a huge amount of money, especially considering the previous investments. It is worth noting that leading enterprises in the USA were actively involved in this financing. They provided the main contributions to the militarized economy of Germany. Such mass support and exchange of experience allowed the country to accelerate its military production even faster. The mutually beneficial cooperation did not end until the end of the war. For example, the ITT company was actively trading not only with Germany but also with Italy and Japan. They acquired 40% of the total telephone networks in the country. Moreover, an agent of Ribbentrop, Gerhard Alice Westrick, was placed at the head of the 3 German companies that they owned. The Ford concern also did not stop its production in France after it was occupied by the Germans. Car production continued at the same pace. Special patronage was provided by Hermann Göring, who personally headed the industrial enterprise Reichswerk, which was notably named in his honor. It is also noteworthy that the Coca-Cola company found it beneficial to continue its cooperation in Germany. They were certainly far from military supplies, but they still established the production of the well-known drink Fanta. Today, we can confidently speak about what the common denominator was between Hitler and the USA. American companies, as well as German financial and industrial circles, pursued 2 common goals. The primary goal was banal: to make a profit by any means, including trade with the disreputable Reich. The second goal was to unite Europe against the USSR, which was then rapidly gaining economic and military momentum. Western countries and the USA saw a much greater danger in the Soviet Union and considered Hitler their puppet to confront the USSR. Adolf Hitler, in the view of American authorities, was the ideal solution to the problem presented. However, only part of the plan succeeded, because according to it, after the mission was completed, the Führer was supposed to leave the political arena. The sponsors wanted to establish a new world order on their own. Until the moment of signing the non-aggression pact with the USSR, the leaders of the USA believed that everything was going according to plan, and obedient Hitler was about to confront the USSR. But the Führer turned out to be smarter than his sponsors. Perhaps it was speaking in defense of the USA and Britain. I think that when they made the decision to provide economic assistance to the Reich, they did not fully understand what this could lead to. Unleashing the bloodiest war in history was not part of their plans. As a result, while playing with their financial handouts, they failed to notice how they had nurtured the most formidable power in Europe, which had long since spiraled out of control and threatened not only the Soviet Union. What do you think? How significant would financial assistance to Hitler have been? Share your opinion in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. All of this will greatly help its promotion.